Keith, I'll send you the calendar now.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we're going to begin with our misdemeanor expedited calendar. These are a list of cases in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon thereafter, their cases were formally accused by the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General of Fulton County. Today, when I call the defendants' case one by one, I will let them know what is their new case number, the charges of which they've been accused, to set a bond, appoint counsel if required, and also to give you a new court date if that's also required. With regards to bond, some may qualify for what we call a signature bond, in which you would not have to pay for the bond today, but you would have to comply with the conditions of the bond in order to make sure that the bond doesn't get revoked and amended. Others may possibly receive a cash bond or a surety bond, for which you would have to pay in order to be released, either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. In either event, please remember that all defendants have a right to remain silent. Anything they choose to say about the facts or circumstances of their case, their statements can and will be used against them. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Ms. Bridgewater, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Your reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be October the 29th.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let's begin with courtroom 2. Who do we have, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We'll start with position number 13. It's Roger Williams.
We have Doris Rogers Williams, hyphenated. Are you Miss Rogers Williams? All right. Ms. Williams, you've been cited with, or rather accused of disorderly conduct and simple battery family violence from an October 14, 2024 incident. You have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
2013 simple battery. Cruelty in the first. Those were declined or dead docket. 08 arson, first offender.
All right, thank you. Mr. Marquez Jones, good afternoon. What's the state's recommendation for bond?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred on October 14th of 2024, where officers responded to 3230 Dotson Drive in relations to a mother and daughter fight. Officers made contact with the defendant, and upon making contact, officers smelled an alcoholic beverage coming from the defendant's breath. Officers tried to give the defendant a one-time warning and leave the scene. However, as officers attempted to leave, the defendant became irate, yelling and cursing. And she yelled, I'll blow this B up. Your Honor, given that there's a 1997 FTA, a 2007 FTA, and we did speak with the victim stated that they lived together, and she confirmed the incidents in the warrant, stated that some things just got to the defendant that she probably should not have said. And that they've never gotten into an argument. However, Your Honor, we do have a concern of victim intimidation, as there has been a call made from the jail to the victim by this particular defendant. Therefore, the state's bond recommendation is going to be a $2,500 surety bond. That's going to be $1,500 on the simple battery and $1,000 for the disorderly conduct. If Your Honor, no further contact, and to stay away from 3230 Dotson Drive. And if Your Honor can sound for the victim at the appropriate time.
Miss Deanna Rogers, if you're present, this will be the time to unmute and start your video. Okay, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client works at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and has been doing house cleaning there for 7 years. So she is quite steady in her work, quite stable in her community contacts. Your Honor, we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. She does have a GED, by the way. We'd ask the court to consider a signature bond in the overall context of this. It would appear that a phone call because they are close and they all love each other, I'm sure a phone call from the jail would have been normal and not necessarily indicative of an attempt to do intimidation or influence. Thank you.
All right, this incident occurred at Dodson Drive, but she lives at some location called Walnut Drive. Which one is it?
Miss Rogers Williams, which one, if you were told to stay away from one, which one would you be staying away from? Where would you live?
I would stay away from Dodson Drive. I would go to a shelter.
Okay, which
Or either I
shelter?
go to Mobile to my husband.
Okay, you got places to go if necessary. Understood. She can figure.
Thank you.
She has some places in mind, apparently.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. On the disorderly conduct, it's going to be $1,000. On the simple battery, it's going to be $1,500. The total bond is going to be $2,500. It will be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. Ms. Rogers Williams, you are to provide us with a good mailing address within 30 days. So if you're staying at a shelter, you need to provide the address of that shelter within 30 days, and you need to file that with the clerk's office. And we will send you summons to show up in court. You are to have no contact with Deanna Rogers from today onwards, no phone calls, no emails, no letters.
I would like someone to bring my work clothes to me.
You're not to speak to her in person. You're not to have anything to do with her, and you're not to discuss her on social media.
Can I have someone to go there and pick up my things for me?
You have a one-time visit with a police officer. You need to have a police officer, and you're allowed to go back to the apartment 5 at Dodson Drive in East Point one time only for you to collect your belongings. While you are there, you're not allowed to have any arguments or altercations with anyone at that location. You're also not to consume any alcohol and no illegal drugs, and you'll be subject to random screens by pretrial. If you fail an alcohol screen or if you get arrested again for anything else, you will lose the signature bond and be back in jail.
Yeah.
Understand?
Yes.
Your next court date will be sent to whichever address you provide us, as long as not at the Dodson Drive location. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have position number 11, Ms. Miles.
This is State versus LaShondra Miles, accused of battery, family violence from October 14th, 2024. Ms. Miles, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
Miles 11. Got open shoplifting out of Douglasville. That was as of August. 2013 simple battery DV not prosecuted. That's it.
Mr. Marquez Jones, what's your recommendation for Ms. Miles?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place on October 14th of 2024. Officers arrived at 2347, where they met with the defendant, who stated that her son, Miles, lashed out in a heated argument. The victim, Miles Sanchez, tried to retreat to his room, where the defendant followed him. The victim attempted to close the door. That's when the defendant pushed it open. As a result, the door came off of the hinges, hitting the victim in his face. Officers did observe a small laceration about the eye as a result of the defendant's actions. Your Honor, we did have an opportunity to speak to the victim. He stated that they lived together, that nothing happened, that this was just a big misunderstanding, and the victim does not want, he will not be here to participate in the court proceedings, and that he's not in fear and wants to continue contact. Your Honor, the state believed that we are okay with them having contact. The state's recommendation is going to be a $3,000 surety bond, no drugs, alcohols, or weapons, and no further violent contact with the victim.
Okay. Mr. McLean, I'm going to issue a $2,000 signature bond for pretrial services, level 1. No further violent contact with Miles Sanchez. She may return to the Manor Avenue location in East Point. While she's reporting to pretrial once a month, she's to attend and complete one anger awareness class. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and no weapons and firearms. Next court date will be mailed to her address. Thank you.
What was that contact?
Thank you.
No further violent contact
Oh.
with Miles Sanchez. Yes, Miss Miles?
I need to give you an address to send my court date to, because I don't want you to send it there.
Well, then when you are released, you come down to the courthouse and put your mailing address in writing with the clerk's office at 160 Prior Street. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
We can, I'm sorry, I was gonna pass it over to you to ACDC.
That'll be fine too, Debbie. Thank you. All right. Who am I going to?
Hi, Your Honor. We have Ms. Bass, position 1.
All right. Hello, Debbie Milton. And were they there when I was reading out the rights?
No, Your Honor. I'm
No
sorry.
No problem. All right. This is for the individuals who are at Fulton, ACDC, and perhaps at jail court iPhone as well. This is a calendar for individuals who were recently arrested and booked at Fulton County Jail. Your cases have already been formally accused by the prosecutor. Please make sure that this is your initial appearance before a judge. I want you to remember that you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you choose to share about the facts during this open proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Ms. Bass this is State versus Kiarye, K-I-A-R-Y-E Bass, accused of giving false information to an officer, 2 counts with regards to this case. Ms. Bass, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
History out of Texas. 2011 assault. Family says injury, child with bodily injury. 2020 tampering with evidence conviction. 2019 felony assault. I think that was DV conviction. 2016 assault, evading arrest conviction. 2016 assault on public servant conviction. I think he has a hold according to that booking.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good, Ms. Daciano. Yes, good afternoon. And how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, the state's recommending an SOB for him to be released to his Harris County hold, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Briefly, for the record, this was an incident that happened on the 14th. Officers responded to a fire at 2301 Godby Road. They were preparing the report for the fire, asking everyone for their IDs. The defendant provided the false name of Kiri Wynn and false date of birth of February 6, 1986. The officers were able to determine the defendant's true identity, and it was discovered that she does have an active arrest warrant out of Harris County for aggravated assault. Thank you.
Mr. Cook, the bond is going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail, and this is going to be an active case against Ms. Bass, and this is a release to the Harris County hold only.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bass, you've got a signature bond through the jail per the prosecutor's recommendation. But please remember, this is an active case against you in Fulton County, and you will need to respond when summoned. Make sure that we have your correct mailing address at all times. It's $1,000 on each count, so it's $2,000 total.
Okay, I have a question. If I pay that, do I still have the whole
Listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. Your question tells me you're not listening. You have a signature bond through the jail, which means you don't have to pay for the bond. But you remain at jail, and the Harris County authorities will have to come and pick you up because they have a warrant for you. Okay. But this case in Fulton County is an open, active case. Once you are released from Harris County, it's your responsibility of making sure that we have a good address to send you notice for your next court date.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have position 2.
Milton, I gotta take care of this guy medical.
Okay, go ahead.
This is going to be position number 3, I believe, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. This is State versus Taquan Brown, who is at the jail court iPhone, case number 24CR007080Y, accused of simple battery from September 23rd, 2024. Mr. Taquan Brown, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Brown, my name is Judge Lal. I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you choose to say in this proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you this afternoon is Mr. Keith Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
12 total. Been in custody since September. Last arrest was June 28th, possession of marijuana, obstruction. June 1st, trespass. Got an FTA from this year and last year, and 2 from 2021. 2020 obstruction, trespass, obstructing highways, no low. 2020 shoplifting, no low.
All right, thank you.
Ms. My case, Your Honor.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a interesting situation, Judge. This defendant pled guilty on SAP calendar yesterday to terroristic threats and criminal trespass for an incident that happened on September 25th. The incident before you took place on September 23rd at the McDonald's at 2929 Peachtree Road. It took some time to identify the defendant after this incident, and he was actually identified based on his arrest for the case he just pled out on that happened on September 25th, where he was acting crazy at the 5 and below. But essentially, it was very similar to what happened in this case. The victim is Kira Henderson. She was a patron at the McDonald's. She states she was waiting at the McDonald's for her order. The defendant got upset, started acting with hostility toward the employees. And during this tirade, he turned and spat on her. And of course, warrants were taken out after on October 5th. And unfortunately, they weren't caught before he hit SAP calendar yesterday. But he was identified through his previous case, and it is very similar to what happened in the September 25th incident. So we are requesting a $1,000 surety bond, no contact with Ms. Henderson, stay away from the McDonald's. And at this point, Your Honor, we're also asking for a BHET, given that this is now the second case where this kind of outburst is happening at businesses, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Ms. Henderson, thank you.
Kiara Henderson, if you're on Zoom, this would be the time to unmute and start your video. So he took a plea on September 25th before Judge Morrow.
Took a plea yesterday.
No, Your Honor, he was arrested on September 25th
for the 5 Below store incident.
Yes.
And he took a plea before Judge Morrow yesterday.
Yes.
And where is he on Zoom right now?
He's at Rice Street. I don't know where he's.
Jail court iPhone, it fell off the
Oh no, he's upstairs. He's not in courtroom 2. He's upstairs somewhere.
I know, but the jail court iPhone that's got him on screen has just
fell off, Your Honor.
They fell off. Okay. Let's hold off on this until he comes back and go to ACDC. Who was next?
Position number 2, Ms. Boiling.
Okay. This is State versus Christine Alisa Christine Balling, accused of criminal trespass, misdemeanor obstruction of an officer, and disorderly conduct. Ms. Balling, are you in front of the screen? All right, perfect, thank you. You have been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard? Tucson Howard? Any priors on position 2?
We have first arrest, Your Honor.
All right. What's your
I stepped away, my bad. I'm sorry.
No problem. This is the first arrest for Balling, Alisa Balling. What's the recommendation, Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, we're recommending a signature bond through pretrial, no contact with the victim, stay away from the College Park MARTA station, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. This incident happened yesterday at the College Park MARTA station. The defendant was yelling at a bus operator who works there. Her name's Tawana Pickens, using profanity, threatening to beat her up. She was approached by one of the officers with Marta, told to leave. She refused, and then she was placed under arrest and resisted.
All right.
And if Your Honor can sound for Ms. Pickens, thank you.
Ms. Pickens? I've got an iPhone. I don't know who's on it, but nope. All right, Mr. Cook, this is a stay away from the Marta property. Any objection?
No objection. We object to anger awareness. He's 19, so I was not able to get in touch with his mother. He says she would co-sign if that's necessary, if possible. And I know the obstruction might block this. We would like to get an SOB to the jail.
All right. Using Marta is a constitutional, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to my video. Just give me a moment. Okay, excuse me. Using Marta is a privilege, not a constitutional right. And most people have to pay for that privilege to use it. And when they exercise that privilege, there come certain rules and regulations. And when there's a violation of this privilege, it gets revoked. And Ms. Balling, if you didn't understand that then, now you will understand it. Your bond on each count is going to be $1,000. That's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. You are to have no contact with the Marta employer, Ms. Pickens, Marta employee, Ms. Pickens, and you're to stay away from all Marta property, including the College Park station. You're not to use the trains and the buses until further order of the court. You'll have to find alternative way of transportation. You are to make sure that you do not consume any alcohol, no illegal drugs, and have no firearms. You will report to pretrial once a month, and if you get arrested again, this $3,000 signature bond will be revoked. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we be excused, please?
Yes, thank you. Her next court date will be sent to her address. Thank you. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
We can resume with
Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown, yes.
Oh,
Before we do, what position was that we just finished?
3, Taquan Brown.
No. The one from ACDC, the one we just got finished.
2, Miss Balling.
Okay. And that was $3,000?
Yes, signature bond, pretrial level 1.
Yeah. All right. I get a signature bond, please?
No. Mr. Cook?
Yeah, this is a bit odd, as Mr. Desiano said. There's a chance that this would have been wrapped up yesterday, and I believe he got time served on the 2 charges yesterday. We would object, considering he might have gotten out yesterday if the paperwork floor had been as quickly as we would like. We would ask for a signature bond. We have no objection to BHET.
All right. The bond is $1,000. It's a surety bond. He's to stay away from all McDonald's stores, including the incident location. No contact with Kiara Henderson. And his next court date is going to be October 29. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, bro. Hey, thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
Next, we have position number 5, Mr. Frazier.
This is State versus Aaron Frazier, accused of theft by taking from August 31st of this year, case 24CR007082D. Mr. Frazier, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. McLean?
No, it's Keith Cook, Your Honor.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
24, last arrest was in June, battery. It's 24CR003629D. 2022 probation, 2020 fade to appear, 2018 and 19 probation. Got a DV and disorderly conduct conviction from 2018, 2016 DC conviction.
That's good. Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place on September 6th. Officers responded to a theft call. The victim is Sean Gab Izwiki. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. He reported that he put his scooter in his closet in his apartment on August 31st and noticed that on September 3rd it was missing. He asked his roommate if he had seen it. The roommate said no. It took some time to get the surveillance footage from the leasing office, but the detective eventually did get the footage, and it showed the defendant on property on September 2nd going out of view of the camera and then coming back into view with the scooter and leaving the property. The scooter was then sold at a pawn shop. The defendant was identified from still images from surveillance and law enforcement recognizing him from other cases. It's our understanding that the victim does not know him, so we're puzzled as to how he got into his apartment to take his scooter. But the scooter is worth about $600. He does have that open case. Your Honor gave him a $1,000 surety bond. He attacked a stranger in that case. We're asking for a $2,000 surety bond in this case, Your Honor. No contact with Mr. Gab Izwiki. Stay away from his residence. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you can sound for the victim. Thank you.
All right. That wouldn't make you do it, but all right. I'll try. Sean, last name is Gab-Azuike, Azuike. Now that, all right, he's not on. Go ahead, Mr. Cook.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 30 years old. Works at a car wash. His income is very, very modest. We understand the record. We would ask for a surety bond as low as possible. We have no objection to any stay away or contact provisions, and beyond that, we would leave it within the discretion of the court.
All right. Unfortunately, he's got a bench warrant in the other case. On the theft by taking, it's going to be $1,000 surety bond. And both cases are going to be further notice to October 29th.
Your Honor, what is that other case number?
24 CR 003629 D as in Denmark. These are both Judge Edline's cases. And we're going to reset both of them to the SAP calendar on October 29th. Currently, his bond is $1,000 for the new case. Stay 200 yards away from the entire apartment complex at 112 Cortlandt Street and have no contact with the victim, Sean Gab-Azuike. Sorry. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 12. I don't want to mess up his last name.
Ms. Desiano, do you know how to pronounce it?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
All right, sir, Mr. Jabok here. How do you pronounce your last name, sir?
Normorodo?
Normorodo, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Jabok here, Normorodov. Okay, case number is 24 CR 007-075H. Mr. Javakir, you are accused of simple battery from a May 29th, 2024 incident. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Michael McLean.
You do have a preliminary matter.
All right. Before you go ahead, Mr. McLean, I was just going to ask whether English is his primary language.
Well, that's it. He and I communicate pretty well, in my opinion, but he feels more comfortable in asking for an interpreter to be part of this hearing. And if an interpreter is not available right now, I'm going to put it to him of, do you feel strongly enough about that to put it off a day, or should we go forward?
What kind of interpreter are we seeking?
Russian.
Okay. Miss Bridgewater or Miss Champion? What's the likelihood of being able to get a Russian interpreter within the next 30 minutes?
Your Honor, we put in a request for an interpreter. We have not yet had a response at this time.
All right. Mr. Javokhir, we are going to wait until the end of the calendar. If a Russian interpreter is not available, then you can make a decision as to whether you want to proceed today or you want to continue tomorrow. Yes,
Your
sir.
Honor, can I ask a question?
You need to answer my question first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm okay with Mr. My claim if you're gonna be my attorney.
Oh, that's not the question. I'm an interpreter. I'm a good lawyer.
Do you want an Russian interpreter? Because then we can address your case later or tomorrow.
No, Your Honor.
You don't want an interpreter?
No.
Have you understood everything I've said so far?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Howard, any priors of Mr. Javokhir?
No.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident did take place on 5/29 of 2024, where the victim, Maria Salome, walked into public safety headquarters regarding an acquaintance stalking with her. Ms. Salome reported to headquarters that the defendant had a repeated tendency to show up at her house, to wait across the street from her, and to do other things. However, on May 29th, she was eating with a male, and the defendant showed up. She did not tell him she was there and demanded that she sit with him. She attempted to leave, and that's when the male began to threaten her with some images and some videos. During that conversation, he then slapped her in the face. Security had to get involved. We understand that this is the defendant's first arrest. However, given the police statement about him appearing out of nowhere at this particular, we are concerned, Your Honor. Therefore, the state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond, no further contact with Maria Salome, no drugs, alcohol, or weapon, and to stay within 200 yards of her, Your Honor.
All right. Miss Maria Salome, are you on Zoom? All right. Mr. McLean?
I am.
Oh, you are. That's the iPhone, I guess.
Yes, I am.
All right,
Thank
Ms. Salome, you want to contribute to the proceeding, you would need to start your video. And
Yes.
all right. Ms. Salome, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's your full name?
My full name is Maria Guadalupe Salome Aparicio.
All right, but you go by Maria Salome?
Yes.
All right, and how do you know Normal Rodolph, Mr. Javokhir?
He is he was my boyfriend.
You can put your hand down.
He was my boyfriend.
Okay, so you were romantically involved with him?
Yes, Your Honor, but
when did you break it off?
We broke up couple days ago after I found out that he has a whole family without me knowing.
I don't know when that is. Was this before May 29, 2024?
Your question is, Your Honor?
Did your relationship with Mr. Javokhir end before May 29th, 2024?
We did ended our relationship, but after he looked for me, so he always wanted to have contact. And after we got a TPO, my mom actually found him down the street where I lived when they told him to stay away from me.
Where did you get the TPO?
Gwinnett County.
Gwinnett County. Is it an active TPO?
No, I dismissed it because I was gonna move to
You don't have to tell, no, but you don't have to tell me where you're moving to. I just want to know whether there was an active TPO.
No, I'm sorry, it is not. I dismissed it.
All right. Do you want to continue to have contact with Mr. Javokhir?
I do not.
Okay. Do you want him to be anywhere near you?
I don't want him to be near me or my family.
Okay, thank you. You may mute your screen. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Nurmagomedov is okay with, he understands and is okay with the stay away, the no contact. He understands that. Your Honor, it is his first arrest. He has a college degree in business. He was working on his master's. He's been working on other degree programs as well at Georgia State once he was here. His Peachtree Parkway address shown on the 3 card is stable. He does live there. He gets good mail service there. If the court were to allow him to have a signature bond, he promises to show up in court and to obey all court orders.
So he's a registered student at Georgia State University?
No, he has pursued some classes there in the past, but I don't believe he's a student at all now. His business bachelor's is from another country, but his Georgia State University study has ended, and he may return to it, and he may not, depending on this, that, or the other. But right now, I failed to mention, he is working for the American Barber Shop, which is now changed its name to Reesha, Reesha, incoming. So he is employed.
Thank you. Bond is going to be set at $4,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 3. He's to have no further contact with Maria Salome, and he's to stay 200 yards away from wherever she happens to be, whether it's at home, in public, at her in a grocery store, at a school. I don't care where she's. If she is physically located in one location, he has to stay 200 yards away. That's the length of 2 football fields from Miss Salome and her immediate family members. He's not to communicate with her in person through a third party, through phone, mail, email, any kind of computer, phone, or electronic device. And he's not even to discuss or reference her on social media. Mr. Javoke, you're to report to pretrial once a week, and you're not to consume any alcohol, illegal drugs, or even possess or own any firearms. I do not know what your residency status is in this country or in the state. If it's permanent, or then you can. But if it's not, then please understand, cases like this can jeopardize your residency. Now, your next court date is going to be set to your current mailing address. Please make sure that if you change your address, you provide that to us in writing. Yes, Mr. Javoke.
Yes, my car is still with Maria Salome, so how I can pick up my car?
Miss Salome, do you have Mr. Javoke's car?
It's under both of our names, but I'm gonna go to the dealership and take the car out of his name, and I'm gonna continue paying the car off.
All right, Mr. Javoke, at the present time, if you believe that you have co-ownership in this car, after this case is over, you can contact an attorney and file a civil lawsuit to get your fair market value share of the car.
Yes or no?
All right, but you are not to approach her in any way or remove any vehicle. My greatest concern is that this went to the extent of filing a protective order, and if there was actually a protective order in place, you would actually be facing a felony charge of aggravated stalking, where you remain in jail without a bond. So
Yes.
you decide how you want to behave from this point onwards. Thank you.
Thank you.
What was that dollar amount, Your Honor?
$4,500, $4,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 3. Ms. Salome, if he attempts to communicate with you or your family in any way, please report that to the prosecutor's office, and his bond will be revoked. Thank you.
I have a question, Your Honor.
Yep.
So about the car, how are you gonna do this about the
No,
car?
I don't know. Go talk to an attorney. That's a civil matter. That's not my.
Okay, where can I get an attorney for that? Like, do I have to contact a lawyer for that?
Google.
Oh, okay.
Your Honor, I believe the State Bar of Georgia lawyer referral service as well.
You can put that in the chat. This is not my giving legal advice calendar. This is my let's deal with people in jail calendar.
Very good.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're free to go. Is it 3 South that I'm going to?
Yeah, this is position number 14.
Yes, sir. This estate was Chandra Swayan Pakula. Mr. Swayan Pakula, my name is Judge Lal, and your case number is 24 CR 007-086Y. You have been charged with 4 misdemeanor offenses. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney if you cannot afford one. One will be appointed to represent you. Mr. Swain Pakula is represented presently by Mr. McLean. Mr.
I
Upshaw.
actually just took that case over this morning, Judge. Christopher Upshaw.
All right, sir. And let's see, with regards to Mr. Swain Pakula, he is charged with the following 4: simple assault, family violence, 2 counts of simple assault, family violence, and 2 counts of reckless conduct. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
Yes, it's second. Did you see the previous case?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Uh,
Does he have an
20
open case?
No. 2020 simple battery against person 65 years old or pregnant. That's 20 CR 004 646Y. That's a conviction. I'll let the state tell you about the victim. So that's it.
All right, Mr. Jones, what's your take on this?
Yes, Your Honor. So I can just jump in right where Mr. Howard left off. That 20 CR 004646Y involves the same exact victim in this particular case, in which the victim was pregnant at that time, and the defendant grabbed her by the hair and dragged her. Similar to that incident, we have this incident that took place on September 20th of 2024, where officers arrived to 310 Blue Sledge Lane, where officers met with a neighbor who stated there's an ongoing issue, but believes that this time it may have gotten physical. Usually it's a lot of verbal. Officers did make contact with one of the victims, Miss Neely, which is the wife and the victim in the first incident. I'm sorry, his girlfriend stated that there was an argument, but there was a chair that was on the floor, and when asked how did the chair get on the floor, she stated that the defendant fell over the chair while leaving. However, Your Honor, we have a total of 3 independent witnesses, 2 of them which wish to remain anonymous, stated that the defendant picked up a chair and went to strike Miss Neal, however, never made contact. The 3rd witness, who wrote a statement, told officers that Miss Neely was actually holding their child when the defendant picked up the chair, hence why you have the reckless conduct times 2, 1 for each victim in this. The defendant did flee the scene, Your Honor, at this particular time. I want to bring the court's attention to the fact that this incident took place on September the 20th of 2024. We did speak with the victim. The victim stated that she did not call the police and never wanted the police to be called. The victim stated that she does not want to press charges. However, she confirmed that this is not the first time that there has been violence between the both of them, hence that particular case, that they've been living together, that she is not in fear of the defendant and wants him to return to the residence, and that she will be on the Zoom. Your Honor, it is the state's contention that this is the epitome of the cycle of violence at an early stage, Your Honor. We have a conviction with the same victim, and now we have this particular instance. And sadly to say, it looks like both instances involved the kid in some sort, whether the kid was in the womb or in the hands of the mom, Your Honor. Therefore, my computer's doing something weird, Your Honor, so I can't find my recommendation. I do believe that the state's recommendation, Your Honor, for this particular, is going to be a $6,000 surety bond. On each simple assault count is $2,000 a piece. On each reckless conduct is going to be $1,000 a piece, and no further contact, and a stay away from the 310 Blue Sledge Lane, Alpharetta, Georgia, if the court can sound for the victim at the appropriate time.
Miss, oh gosh, I just had the name, sorry. Let me get to the right screen. Sorry, I was looking at multiple. Now, the two charges are with respect to the wife and the child?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and this was Vedant Swayam Pakula. Miss
Yes, ma'am.
Vedant Pakula, are you present?
I'm Simala Neely.
Who is
So
that?
That's the victim, Your Honor.
I'm the wife of Chandra Swayampakula.
Okay, Simala.
Yeah,
Neely. Okay, all
yeah,
right. And Miss Neely, did you want to add anything to this proceeding?
yes, Your Honor.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the
I
testimony?
solemnly swear.
No, you just have to respond to the question. You don't have to repeat after me.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may put your hand down. Yes, Miss Neely, what would you like to tell us?
So I would like to tell that it was an argument. He did not want to throw the chair at us. There was a chair outside there. He just wanted to put the chair aside and argue with me. And he fell down, and my husband has a fracture on his hand. I was not hurt. My baby was not hurt. In fact, my baby was smiling when the police came, when my neighbors complained. The police came, they checked my body, they checked my child's body. I lifted my shirt, I lifted my pants, everything. They checked everything. They removed, I removed my child's clothes. There was nothing. In fact, my child was playing happily. My husband was arguing with me, and he fell down, and he was hurt actually because of that argument when he was trying to come to me to argue with me. That's it. It seemed that he was trying to hit me, but no. And I do not want I want to live with my husband. I can assure you that I have no harm from my husband, and I do not want to press any charges on my husband, who is Chandra Swayampakula.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Judge, if I may, at the appropriate time.
Yes, I was just going to ask Miss Neely if she could mute herself, and then Mr. Upshaw. Yes, sir. What would you like to tell me?
Thank you, Judge. I mean, I would echo largely what Ms. Neely indicated. She has spoken with me independently as well as just now, and stating unequivocally that she does want her husband to be able to come home. I understand the concerns that the state has, and I'm not going to, mince words that these are serious allegations, but that is what they are, as allegations. We've got two people who are unidentified. Those are not folks who would even be able to come to court. I'm not here to try the case, but I'm simply asking the court to please consider allowing his release on a surety bond. The $6,000 is fine, with special conditions of no violent or harassing contact with Ms. Neely or with their child. The main driving force behind that is that he is the income earner for the household, and that is where he has to go. He does not really have anywhere else to go at this time. So again, I do acknowledge the seriousness of what we're dealing with. But that would be our request, Your Honor, with the victim being present, taking time to make her thoughts known to the court.
All right. Well, Mr. Upshaw, were you his counsel at the prior?
I was not, Your Honor. And if I may, and I don't mean to speak out of turn, but Assistant Solicitor General Jones, is it confirmed on your end that is a conviction? I was under the impression it was a successful pretrial diversion.
I can check once I actually have it pulled up.
I just have a disposition signed off by Judge Edie. So I don't want to misspeak, but my concern is I'm wondering whether he already took a DVIP at that time, or
this looks like he was on probation, because I
Yeah.
have something that says a successful termination of probation.
Okay.
So,
And I presume FIP and all of that.
1 second, 12 months. DVIP, yep. No violent contact.
And again, I would just say humbly that, it sounds like that old case, there was probation, and family violence intervention program, and it sounds like the probation was successfully completed. So, that gives me more confidence.
What does that mean? I mean, it was successfully completed August 16, 2023. And now we have a situation of arguments that, Miss Neely doesn't want to proceed with the case. That's perfectly fine. That's her prerogative. But Mr. Swayam Pakula, he totally understands this is not his first rodeo at jail. And he totally understands that if things like this happen, it'll only get worse. And this is from a third party, a neighbor who heard arguments to the point that it raised concerns to call the authorities. I mean, I'm really, and he's already gone through probation. It sounds to me like he just went through the checklist to make sure that he gets out of jail, and then it puts this behind him so he can go ahead and resume whatever he wants to do. So my concern is that I don't know if he got the memo the first time around. That's my concern, Mr. Upshaw. And yes, you may be fine with a $6,000 surety bond, but I have a situation right now where previously it involved a pregnant woman. Now it involves a woman with a young child. So I'm not sure if Mr. Swayam Pakula got the message. The bond is going to be set at, on each count, the simple assault, that's going to be $2,000. On each count of reckless conduct, that's going to be $2,000. Counts 1 and 2 are going to be a surety bond, so that's a $4,000 surety. Counts 3 and 4, that's going to be a $4,000 signature bond for pretrial services, level 3. Maybe Mr. Swayam Pakula needs to go back to school again, but right now he's got a $8,000 split bond. He'll be reporting to pretrial once a week. He will enroll again in a domestic violence intervention program, and this is not, and I cannot emphasize this, underline, boldface, whatever you want to do, not an online program.
Right.
He's going to be required to go in person. If he gets arrested again, the entire bond is going to be revoked. He's to have no further violent contact with Simala Neely and no violent contact with any other occupants and members of the household, including the child, VSP.
Yes, Judge.
Your Honor, just so the state can put on a record, the last time that this happened, Ms. Neely did call our office and ask us to to have no further violent contact, and that she wanted the charges dropped because this was just a mistake. So again, we are on the record seeing the repeated behavior, not only from both of them, which enlightens or alarms us more that this may truly be the cycle of violence. As Your Honor is also aware, there's something called witness intimidation, where we have a concern if he's allowed in the house, the chances of us actually getting Ms. Neely to come and participate in these hearings because he's there and he's the financial breadwinner, Your Honor, is extremely grave to the state. And honestly, we just want to do all we can to ensure the safety of Ms. Neely and the kid at this particular point.
3 South, please unmute. Mr. Upshaw, your client wants to say something.
Sir, I don't recommend you say anything right now. We can talk privately.
I might as well say it because, Judge, I do apologize, but for what happened. But I stay like a mile from the police station that filed the warrant on. At least if they would have informed me even once, I would have just gone to the police station and sorted out the same day. I wasn't even informed. I live like a mile and a half from the police station that the warrant was filed. When the cop told me I had 6 warrants on my name, I was shocked. I was wondering what was happening. I was involved in a car crash yesterday. That's when the cop told me that I had a warrant. So, Mr. Jones, I don't want to offend you in any way, but
Sir, I'll take it over from here. Thank you.
That's all, George. I don't mean no harm to nobody. I just make honest living. That's all. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right. Well, I understand the situation. I've already read the warrants and I've read about what the alleged witnesses have said, especially as the caller, and I'm going to maintain my no further violent contact. Miss Neely, she has put her position forward, and I'm just going to go with what I've already. I don't have a problem with this, but Mr. Swayam Pakula, you may be shocked by the warrants, but the police were called. Your wife just testified and said that she spoke to the officers on that particular day. So your claim of being shocked by outstanding warrants is at best very, very disingenuous. All right? It's not helping you. No, it's not. I would highly recommend that you keep your mouth shut and listen to your attorney. Otherwise, you're just digging your grave a lot deeper. Now, remember, you're reporting to pretrial once a week. You are going to again re-enroll in the domestic violence classes in person only. And if there is even any kind of verbal or physical altercation again, and if anybody calls and you get arrested again, your attorney is going to explain to you that your bond is going to be revoked and it may be in a no bond status, which means that you might end up staying in jail without a bond for the rest of the time. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
That's good. Mr. Upshaw, anything else, sir?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. And please don't give me a reason to put an ankle monitor on him.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This per Judge Holly.
Yeah, and this is further notice to October 29.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Yeah, position number
Your
6.
Honor, excuse me, I'm sorry. This was a split bond, so he's going to the SAP calendar.
Right.
Okay.
And of course, Mr. Upshaw, if he gets released on bond, if he makes the 4,000 and then he reports to pretrial, then the October 29th date will not be will not be on the calendar anymore.
Okay.
He will
So that's
get,
like a prelim.
correct. It's just
Okay.
a prelim if he's in custody.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. And the prosecution is on notice that Mr. Upshaw has filed all the preliminary motions presently. Okay, let's move on. Courtroom 2, who do we have? Thank you, Mr. Upshaw. Have a good day.
Thanks.
We have position number 6, Mr. Goffin.
This is State versus Robert Goffin, G-O-F-A-N. Mr. Goffin is accused of theft by taking from October 14th, 2024. His case number is 24 CR 70838. Mr. Goffin, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
56.
All right, that's good. Thank you very much. Mr. Oops, I think one of our prosecutors' audio just went out. So, Mr. Jones, are you able to chime in on this case?
I am not, Your Honor. She's logging back in now. I see her at the bottom.
Ms. Desiano, are you ready to? Okay.
Here we go. I got my other mic on.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Which position are we on?
We're on
I
position
said it, but
Robert Goffin,
okay.
theft by taking 56 cycles. Any recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. State's recommending a $1,000 good.
Oh. No audio.
MLK Junior Drive.
I'm sorry, your audio went out. So you were recommending $1,000 surety, and then you went silent.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
1,000 surety, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. This incident happened on the 14th at the Broadstone Apartments off MLK Junior Drive. Defendant is seen on CCTV stealing a pressure washer that belongs to the apartment complex. He returned to the scene the following day and he was arrested at that point. Thank you.
Mr. Cook, any objection to the bond as indicated?
Yeah, I don't know. I would just add that my client is homeless. He has no income, so we'd certainly want it as low as possible.
All right. Bond is set at $1,000 surety. Next court date is October 29th. To stay away from 230 Martin Luther King Drive. and no illegal drugs, alcohol, and weapons. Thank you.
You go. Next, we got position number 8, Mr. Joseph.
This is State versus Jean Joseph, accused of criminal trespass from January 19th, 2024, under accusation 24 CR 007-077A. Mr. Joseph, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors?
23. Got to open DUI in state court. 2022 FTA, 2020 FTA, 2019 probation, 2018 and 17 FTA, 2014 shoplifting, no law.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is going to be a $3,000 signature bond per pretrial services. This incident took place at 9230 Nesbitt Ferry Road at the Atlantic Newtown Apartments, where officers responded to a subject breaking into buildings. Upon the search, they found an unsecured door and made entry. However, at this time, no one was there. They conducted an investigation, which an independent witness identified the male via a lineup as having destroyed a residential glass mirror, Your Honor.
All right.
Stay away, of course, from the 9230 Nesbitt Ferry.
All right. He has a hold in Sandy Springs, however.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. McLean, this is going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. And he is to be released to the Sandy Springs hold. And Mr. Joseph, if you return to the Atlanta Newtown Apartments at that particular location, you will be arrested again, and that's going to cause your $2,000 signature bond to be revoked. Do you understand? This is now an open active case against you. You're responsible for making sure you don't get arrested again. You maintain a good address. I have a Sandalwood address. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So we're going to keep that address. And if you return to that apartment complex, like I said, you jeopardize your bond. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have position number 7, Mr. Jenkins.
Trayvon Jenkins is accused of simple battery against a person who is 65 years older or who is pregnant at the time of the offense, and simple battery family violence from June 21st of this year. Mr. Jenkins, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors?
Third arrest. 2023 battery against a female who is pregnant. 23 CR 003-985F. I'll let the state tell you about that victim. 2017 simple assault.
Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, it's the same victim. This incident took place June 21st, 5100 Welcome All Road, apartment C3. Notably, in the battery against female who is pregnant, it was a different pregnancy. The female is pregnant again in this instance, and in the last case, he was ordered to stay away from the same incident location, and he was also ordered to have no contact. He's out on a $2,000 surety bond for that. The victim in this case, Kiara Ware, first trimester of pregnancy, she states that there was a verbal altercation with the defendant. They were arguing in the parking lot. He tackled her to the ground and put his knee to her stomach. The defendant then got in his vehicle, locked the victim out of the vehicle. Victim tried to get into the car, was pulling on the handle, and the defendant drove off. And the victim had injuries from being dragged by the vehicle. However, the officer noted that after speaking with them, his opinion was that the wounds were self-inflicted for holding on to the car handle. And at this point, Your Honor, we've not been in touch with her today, so we've left it at a simple battery. However, we would like to hear from her to hear more about that. because if her hand was stuck or something like that, it could be a different situation.
Mhm.
Interestingly, the victim also has an open felony case for false imprisonment and simple battery against this defendant. That's 24 PI 001210. She's out on bond for that. She's ordered to have no violent contact. It doesn't appear she's in violation of her bond, and it certainly doesn't change the fact that defendant is in violation of nearly every provision of his bond from his previous case. However, it seems clear that these folks don't need to have any contact at this point, especially considering both instances have happened during pregnancy. And certainly it's not only the victim's safety at issue here, but her unborn child. And this incident happened at the end of June. And if my math is correct, she's probably still pregnant. We haven't been in touch with her today. We're asking for a cash bond, Your Honor. If you're not inclined to order a cash bond, then we're asking for a high surety bond. Absolutely no contact and stay away. We're also asking for DVIP at this point, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Ms. Ware. Thank you.
Kiara Ware? I have a Hannah FE, but I don't have a Kiara Ware. All right, is it Mr. McLean or Mr. Cook?
No, it's a conflict that I filed the conflict notice about 7:30 this morning.
You did, okay. All right.
As Ms. Desiano said, the victim has.
The victim's also with PD's office, understood. All right. Mr. Trevin Jenkins, unfortunately, because of the fact that the alleged victim, Kiara Ware, is also represented by the Public Defender's Office, the entire Public Defender's Office cannot represent you, so we would need to appoint a conflict attorney for you. Hopefully by your next court date, we'll be able to have conflict counsel. Ms. Champion, if you could reach out to Ms. Maureen McLeod to represent Mr. Trevin Jenkins.
Yes, I am.
Given the fact, Mr. Jenkins, that you already have an open case, 23 CR 003 985F, in which is expressly stated that you're not to have no further contact with Kiara Ware. You are required to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her. That was back in June of 2023. So technically speaking, the fact that you're now involved with Ms. Ware again on June 23rd, 2024, you're in violation of the no contact. So you have a right to remain silent, Mr. Jenkins. I would highly recommend you exercise that right and don't say anything because you're already in big trouble. You would need to speak to conflict counsel to resolve these outstanding issues. With regards to the simple battery against a person who is pregnant, that's going to be a $3,000 cash bond only. And with regards to the simple battery family violence, that's going to be a $1,000 cash bond only. This is going to be a total of a $4,000 cash bond only. And Mr. Jenkins, if you didn't understand it a year ago, listen to me very carefully. You are to have no contact whatsoever with Kiara Ware. You are to stay 200 yards away from her. If you watch football, that's the length of 2 football fields. You are to have no contact with any child or children that you share with Miss Ware. If you want to have any contact with the child or children you share with Miss Ware, you must file a legitimation case in the appropriate superior court and get a court order for visitation and custody with the child or children that you share. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And your next court date is going to be October 29th, where we are going to address both your cases. This new one and 23 CR 003 985F. The reason you're getting a cash bond is because now you have 2 open criminal cases involving violence with the same victim. Highly recommend that you don't say anything right now. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Do you understand, Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We'll see you on the 29th. Thank you.
Excuse me, Your Honor, will you repeat those bond amounts again?
4,000 cash. Oh, sorry, 3,000 cash.
Okay,
on
I thought
count
it was
1.
3. Okay.
1 on count 2 for a total of 4,000 cash.
By the way, if I'm sorry, if I need to expand my distribution list, I'm requesting conflict attorneys.
Dennis Murphy, and those are the only, and Zakia Watson Cafe.
Okay, I use the same list I always use, so.
Well, so far, that's our list, but Mr.
Okay.
Cook, if you know anyone, you can always encourage them to apply and expand the list.
Okay, thank you.
All right, who do we have in courtroom two?
Your Honor, excuse me one more time. On the
Yes,
simple battery against a person who is pregnant.
3,000 cash.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Courtroom two, who do we have, please?
Position number 4, Mr. Carter.
This is State versus Nicholas Carta, C-A-R-T-A, accused of battery from October 13th, 2024, accusation 24 CR 7081C. Mr. Carta, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
Second arrest, 2020, 2 counts of reckless conduct. I don't know what happened with those. It was in Fulton, but I can't see the case.
All right. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, I agree. I tried to look up that case as well, and it doesn't appear to exist in state court anyway. This incident took place on the 13th. There was a dispute at 6115 Abbott's Bridge Road, apartment 2105 in Johns Creek. The reporting party was actually the neighbor to the incident location. She heard physical fighting, and the victim came out of the apartment holding ice to her face and was very upset. The victim is Hannah Feet. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Fight, thank you. She was visiting the residence. She stated that she tried to wake the defendant up from a nap to let him know that dinner was ready, and she tapped him on the shoulder, and he responded by immediately punching her in the face and continued to strike her repeatedly. There were other folks at this get together, and one of them is the person who lived there's boyfriend. He intervened at some point and subdued him and escorted the defendant out of the residence. At that point, the defendant fled the scene. The victim sustained redness and swelling to her face. We've been in touch with her today. She states that she and the defendant are acquaintances. They do not live together. The incident location was her friend's house. She says they were there for a get-together. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She states this has never happened before. She states the defendant is a severe alcoholic who needs help with drinking. She would like the defendant to receive an alcohol and drug evaluation. She states that she fears the defendant when he's drinking. However, she's not in fear of him generally and is okay with no violent contact. And of course, she's on the Zoom, Your Honor, if you can speak with her at the appropriate time. Your Honor, we're asking for a surety bond, no further violent contact, alcohol and drug evaluation, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Hannah Fight, if you want to respond.
Yes, I'm
Other right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Do you live at this location in Johns Creek, Abbott's Bridge Road?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any connection to that place other than Mr. Carter?
My friend Allison lives there. That is not his residence. So I am friends with that person of that residence.
So, but where does, and he doesn't live there?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Fight. You meet your screen. Mr. Cook, does your client still live in Ackworth, Georgia?
Yes, Your Honor, I confirmed that with him. This is obviously an odd case. He was awakened and, according to the witnesses, started swinging the battery. So I guess it's restricted if there's a possibility of getting a signature bond through pretrial. That would be what we'd be seeking. He has no problem with no further contact or stay away. I'm not sure he quite understands what happened either. Everybody agrees he was asleep and then was awakened. And
Is that the epitome of a rude awakening, so to speak?
I'll leave that with you, Your Honor.
All right, good job. Okay, let me see. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm not certain if there was a booking, but I don't know if the state ever pursued that case from his prior booking. So I'll let the Solicitor General's office decide what they want to do with respect to the other case. Mr. Carter, highly recommend that you try to figure out how to sleep and wake up without anyone being harmed. But your bond at the present time is a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 3. You are to report to pretrial services once a week. You are to maintain your address in Ackworth, Georgia, and you're to stay 500 yards away from the entire subdivision at the Abbotsbridge location in Johns Creek, Georgia. You're not allowed to return to that home until further order of the court. You're not to have any contact with Hannah Feit, F-E-I-T. You're to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. So if the friends are getting together and Miss Hannah Feit happens to be there, you cannot be part of that little party. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. You will be subject to random screens by pretrial services. If you fail a drug screen or if you fail an alcohol screen, your $5,000 signature bond will be revoked and you would have to pay to bond out. Make sure you maintain a good address and you report to court when summoned. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't know what I was searching for earlier, but I just tried to search it again and it popped up. That case, his previous case was dismissed. It was NOD'd.
All right, thank you. All right, so Mr. Carter?
May I say one thing? I don't mind him not, I just want no violent contact.
Miss Feit, since there's already been an allegation of alcohol abuse and an unexplained reaction to being woken up, the court is requiring him to stay away from individuals involved in this case. So if you want to encourage contact with him, please feel free to do so. But if the police get involved and they find out about this contact, the only thing that's going to happen is Mr. Carter is going to be back in jail with no bond.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, thank you. You're free to go. All right, next case, please.
Position number 9 was a medical reset over at ACDC.
All right, so this will be, this is Deanna Lewis, who will be reset to tomorrow, which is October 17th at 2 p.m. And what about Ami Mahanazan, position 10?
That's my case.
Are we resetting it for a reason? Or are we going to address it today? Or did this person bond?
Hold on, give me 1 second.
I have a couple more. There's position 10 and 13. No, did we address 13? Yeah, we did. So position 10 and
That's it.
I think that was it. That's the only one we are waiting on. So while we wait on an announcement for Mahanazan, position 1 was a $2,000 signature bond through the jail with a release to the Harris County hold. Position 2 is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. Position 4 is a $1,000 surety. Reset date is October 29. 4 is a $5,000 signature bond for pretrial level 3 for the notice. Position 5, Aaron Frazier's $1,000 surety bond, reset October 29. Position 6, Goffin's $1,000 surety, reset October 29. 7, Jenkins is a $4,000 cash bond, reset October 29th, along with 23 CR 3985F. Position 8 is a $2,000 signature bond through the jail with a release to Sandy Springs hold. Position 9, Lewis, is a medical reset to tomorrow at 2 p.m. Position 11, Miles, is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 12 is a $4,500 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Position 13 is a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial. I believe that's level 1 too. Level 1. Yeah, level 1. And then position 14 is a $8,000 split bond, level 3 with a DBIP in-person requirement. And yeah, that was it. All right.
Number 10, we gotta go get him. He had to go get an insulin shot. So we
all right, we'll be in recess then until position 10 comes to the screen. Thank you.
Are we still on open mic?
Yes.
Could any prosecutor, any assistant solicitor general call me with regard to number 10, Ami? I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. Thanks.
That's my case. I'll give you a call.
Okay, thanks. I'll mute myself here.
Well, let me add to this.
Your Honor,
Yes, yes, Deputy.
what's that, position 10, I believe it was?
Yes.
Yeah, he went to Grady.
All right. We will reset his case to tomorrow. Yeah, Grady reset. And 2 p.m. tomorrow. Otherwise, we're concluded with the calendar. Anything else, Deputy?
That's it.
All right, so you have a good afternoon.
You too.
McLean and Mr. Jones, with respect to the Mayor's position 10, please take a note of his prior case, 15 CR 004730B.
15 CR
004 730B.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, folks, you'll have a good afternoon. See you later.
Thank you, Judge. Are you here tomorrow?
Doing SAP.
Not a CA?
It's tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.